planet Zyphor was quiet. Too quiet. Normally its twin suns bathed the cities in golden light, but today a heavy shadow hung over the capital. Scientists and engineers ran through the streets, shouting into their comm devices, pointing at screens that flashed red warnings. Something was coming. Something big. A storm had formed in the outer orbit, but not a normal one. It was a cosmic storm, a swirl of deadly energy that could destroy the entire planet if it hit directly. The Zyphorian Council had faced dangerous storms before, but this one was different, faster, stronger, unpredictable. Panic spread like wildfire through the cities. In the grand control room of Zyphor's spaceport, Commander Relok slammed his clawed hand on the console. "Send the distress call," he shouted.
"Any allies nearby? Anyone?"
"We need help, now." The scientists scrambled, entering coordinates, transmitting warnings, trying every frequency. They were confident that nearby star systems would respond. Zyphorians had always counted on their allies, other advanced civilizations in the galaxy. But this time nothing. Silence. Ralok's eyes widened. It's not reaching them. Why isn't anyone answering? A young engineer, trembling, looked at him. The signal lit. "It's rerouting, sir. Something is unusual." The message, "It's crossing distant sectors." "What do you mean?" Ralok asked, voice rising. "How far?" "Very far, farther than our allies. It's going beyond the nearest systems, all the way to the sector called Sol." Rylok froze. Sol. Earth. A backwater planet no one really took seriously. Weak, harmless humans. The kind of species that barely managed interplanetary travel, barely explored their own system, barely survived in their little corner of space. No one ever expected them to help Zyphor. They were insignificant. "Earth," Ralok muttered under his breath. "No, it can't be." Meanwhile, across millions of kilometers of space, on a small blue planet called Earth, ordinary humans went about their lives, unaware of the cosmic message heading their way. Farmers worked in fields. Scientists peered into microscopes. Pilots checked small spacecraft for routine flights. And then, somewhere in a high-tech lab orbiting the planet, the distress call arrived. A signal, unlike anything Earth had ever seen, pinged the military satellites and space agencies. Engineers and officers stared at the screens. Lines of alien symbols blinked, then translated automatically. "Help urgent Zyphor. Planetary storm. Cannot survive." No one in the room laughed. No one dismissed it. There was something in the message. Something serious. By the next day, ships began moving. Humans gathered fleets in record time, mobilizing spacecraft that few in the galaxy even knew existed. They were not panicking. No screaming. No chaos. Just calm, measured preparation. Every pilot, every engineer, every captain knew their job. Back on Zyphor, the council waited, anxiously pacing. Hours passed. Then, on the horizon, tiny specks appeared. At first, they looked like distant stars, but they were moving, faster and faster. And then the council realized. "Fleet," Ralok shouted. "They're coming." But who? Minutes later, the first human ship entered Zyphor's orbit. Sleek, powerful, bristling with unknown technology. Then another, and another. Within moments, hundreds of ships surrounded the planet. The aliens' mouths fell open. They had expected nothing. Not humans, not this. Ralok's heart raced. He glanced at his fellow council members. This can't be real. Humans here, with a fleet. The lead human ship hovered, engines glowing softly. A calm voice came through the translator device. "We received your distress call. We are here to help. Stand back." The council exchanged nervous glances. Stand back? They hadn't even attacked. And yet there was something in the human tone. Something firm. Something that demanded attention. Something that said, "Without words, we are not weak." For the first time in Zyphor's history, a civilization that had always judged others felt fear. Not of destruction, not of war, but of respect. Humans had arrived, and they were not what anyone expected. The shadow over Zyphor didn't feel as heavy anymore. But the aliens realized something terrifying. This help could be a gift or a warning. And just like that, the galaxy started whispering. Humans were here. Humans had arrived. And everyone would remember it. The human fleet hung in Zyphor's orbit like a swarm of silver predators, silent, precise, and calm. From the alien cities, the people watched with wide, terrified eyes. Ships that seemed impossible in size and speed moved in perfect formation, engines glowing softly against the planet's twin suns. The aliens had never seen technology like this, not even in their most advanced war simulations. Commander Rylok's claw trembled as he stared at the communications console. They're here. But they didn't attack. He whispered, disbelief in his voice. "Why are they just hovering?" A young communications officer, pale and shaking, pointed at the main screen. "Sir, they're scanning us. Every city, every military installation. But slowly, carefully, not threatening yet." Rylok exhaled slowly, trying to calm himself. Human's calm. Impossible. The Council had trained for this moment for a real alien war. They expected chaos, screams, destruction. Not this calm. From the lead human ship, a holographic figure appeared in Zyphor's communication system. The image was clear, an Earth human, wearing a simple uniform, with short hair, calm eyes, and a voice that carried authority without anger. We received your distress call. We are here to assist your planet. Stand down from all defensive systems and follow instructions carefully. We mean no harm. A murmur ran through the Council. They speak like commanders, one diplomat said, voice trembling, and they sound confident. Too confident. Rylok stepped forward. Prepare a message. Tell them we did not call you. We sent it to our allies. They will not respond.
This is a mistake.
But even as he spoke, a smaller human shuttle detached from the fleet and descended toward the planet. Its engines were quiet, almost graceful, and its landing was flawless. In the alien capital, a crowd gathered, watching as the hatch opened. Humans stepped out, not soldiers screaming for war, not heavily armed invaders, but calm, careful, professional humans, carrying devices that projected stabilizing energy fields toward the storm raging in orbit. The alien scientists gasped. The humans were not only here physically, they were already working to solve the crisis. One human lifted a handheld scanner over a glowing storm vortex. A soft hum filled the air as the device projected precise energy patterns that began to calm the storm's turbulence. Rylok's claw shook. This is impossible. They are fixing it. Our technology couldn't even slow it. But they just. One alien engineer, whispering frantically, pointed at the screens. Commander, they're teaching us how to stabilize it. They're guiding us. The Council fell silent. For the first time, they saw something they had never expected. Humans were not weak. They were not chaotic. They were brilliant under pressure, calm in the face of danger, quick to adapt, and unafraid. The human leader's voice came through again, firm but measured. Z4 engineers, focus on the outer shield generators. Align with our patterns. We will handle the main storm. Coordinate with us, and your cities will be safe. The aliens looked at each other in awe. They give orders but don't force. They teach, muttered a counselor. I've never seen a species act like this before. Not even the top 5 advanced civilizations of the galaxy. Rylok swallowed hard. Fear, respect, and a strange sense of awe filled him at once. Humans, they were an enigma. The galaxy had labeled them weak, harmless, primitive. Yet here they were, mobilized across light years, showing control, precision, and quiet authority over forces even the Zyphorians could not master. And then the unthinkable happened. One human officer turned to the Zyphorian lead scientist. Do you have the main stabilizer sequence ready? He asked. The alien scientist hesitated. Yes, but it's risky. If it fails. The human smiled faintly. Then we fail together. But we won't. Trust us. Follow my instructions. The Council froze. Trust humans. They had never trusted any species beyond their own. Yet somehow, something in the human tone, the calm confidence, the lack of arrogance, demanded trust. Minutes later, the storm above Zyphor began to calm. Energy spikes dropped. Turbulence slowed. Lights in the cities flickered, then shone steadily again. Humans were saving the planet, without firing a single shot. The Council exchanged glances. One diplomat whispered, "We called for help and the wrong species came. But maybe, just maybe, the wrong species is exactly what we needed." Rylok's eyes narrowed. He didn't know whether to feel relief or fear. Humans were here to help. Yet the sheer force and calm authority in their presence told him one undeniable truth: underestimate them at your own risk. And as the human officer signaled his team to continue stabilizing the planet, the Council realized that Zyphor, and perhaps the entire galaxy, had never seen anything like humans before. The humans moved through Zyphor's capital like they had been here before. Not one of them rushed, panicked, or shouted orders. Every step, every gesture was careful and deliberate. They didn't just arrive, they took control of chaos with calm precision. The alien citizens, peeking from behind their buildings and screens, could barely believe what they were seeing. Commander Rylok watched from the control tower, heart pounding. How can a species so small, so primitive move like this? He muttered, gripping the console so tightly his claws left marks. The humans weren't armed in the way Zyphorians expected. No psychic shields, no plasma weapons. Yet every movement radiated discipline and quiet power. The lead human officer walked past Zyphor's main generator station, scanning equipment with a handheld device that emitted soft blue light. Your energy outputs are misaligned, he said calmly. If you redirect through these nodes, the storm field will stabilize faster. I've calculated the exact vectors. Follow my sequence precisely. The alien engineers hesitated. No Xiphorian had ever trusted an outsider's calculations without argument. But something about the human's tone, a mix of quiet authority and patience, forced them to listen. Tentatively, they followed the instructions. Minutes later, the storm above the planet's orbit began to shrink in size, its energy waves smoothing. The sky that had been swirling with lightning and fire turned calmer. The aliens gasped as the colors shifted from violent reds and purples to soft golds and blues. Humans were fixing a cosmic storm that had threatened to destroy entire cities. And they had done it without firing a single shot. Rylock whispered under his breath, They are not just here to help. They are unstoppable if they choose to be." One of the counselors, pale and trembling, whispered to another, "Do you see it? They brought a fleet, hundreds of ships, and yet they haven't attacked. They don't need to. Just their presence commands respect." Even the citizens in the streets started whispering. Rumors spread quickly. Humans, weak, harmless, lies. They arrived calm, they arrived organized, they arrived powerful. Zephyr's children stared at the humans working on the storm nodes, mouths open, unsure whether they were watching heroes or legends. Then came the moment that would be remembered across the galaxy. A massive energy surge erupted from the storm, stronger than anyone expected. Alarms blared. Engineers panicked.
"It's too strong. We can't hold it."
Someone shouted. The human officer didn't flinch. He pressed a few buttons on his handheld scanner and spoke in a calm, firm voice. "Redirect here. Adjust these angles. Trust the sequence." The surge hit. The humans didn't flinch. Their devices absorbed it, pushed it back into the storm, and slowly the energy dissipated. The storm collapsed into a stable, contained field. The city below, once trembling, now shone under the twin suns without a scratch. The aliens stared in utter disbelief. For centuries they had faced storms, attacks, and cosmic disasters. And now, a species they had considered weak had stabilized a planetary storm in minutes. Rylock's eyes narrowed. They did this with no weapons, no shields, nothing. Just, he paused, searching for a word. Intelligence. Strategy. Across the planet, the human officer turned to Xiphor's lead scientist. "It's done," he said simply. "Your planet is safe. Make sure to follow the maintenance sequence for the next 72 hours, and it will remain stable." The scientist, still shaking, nodded. I have never seen anything like this. Humans you are." The officer gave a faint smile. "We are humans. That is all. We act when needed." Rylock realized something terrifying and thrilling at the same time. Humans were not just saviors. They were a force that no one could ignore. Calm, quiet, but capable of changing the fate of a planet with nothing but brains, strategy, and unity. A murmur ran through the council. One diplomat whispered, "We always thought we were the most advanced. We always assumed humans were harmless, weak. But this is a species to respect, maybe even fear." Above them, the human fleet remained in orbit, silent and still, not threatening, but powerful enough to destroy or save worlds at their choice. Xiphor had been saved. But the aliens realized something chilling. The humans were not here to show off. They were simply capable, and the galaxy would learn that lesson the hard way if anyone ever underestimated them again. And in that moment, as humans prepared to leave the planet, the Xiphorians understood the truth. They had called the wrong species for help, and the wrong species had arrived with more power than anyone had ever imagined. News of what happened on Xiphor spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Other civilizations who had long dismissed humanity as weak or insignificant were now watching in disbelief. Messages, encrypted and urgent, traveled through interstellar networks. Humans arrived with a fleet, stabilized a planetary storm without firing a shot. Back on Xiphor, the council could hardly believe the attention. Every alien diplomat and scholar had scrambled to analyze the humans' actions. Commanders replayed footage of the human fleet, the calm officers, and the handheld devices stabilizing the storm. Every detail told the same story: humans were efficient, fearless, and precise. Commander Rylock paced the council chamber, his claws clicking against the marble floor. "They didn't just save us," he said, voice low and tense. "They outclassed us at every step. Every calculation, every maneuver perfect, calm, precise. And we always thought they were weak." The counselors exchanged nervous glances. "Weak? That's no longer possible," one whispered. "Humans are unpredictable and powerful." In the broader galaxy, messages were being sent in panic. Many civilizations that had laughed at Earth for its small fleet and primitive technology now reevaluated everything. The Galactic Alliance scholars debated feverishly. If humans can move across light years with such precision, what else can they do? What haven't we seen yet? Some alien leaders felt fear, others curiosity, a few excitement. But all agreed on one thing: humans were no longer insignificant. Meanwhile, humans remained calm. Their fleet circled Zephyr like a silent protector, waiting only for confirmation that the planet was secure. No demands, no bragging, no signs of aggression, just results. The Zyphorians began to whisper among themselves. They have power, a young engineer said, wide-eyed. But they don't show it. They don't fight unless they have to. It's terrifying. A counselor leaned toward Commander Rylock. Terrifying. Or inspiring, he asked. Perhaps we misjudged everything. Perhaps the galaxy has misjudged humans. Outside, the alien media began reporting on the humans. Words like unexpected, unstoppable, and beyond comprehension were used repeatedly. Across star systems, leaders who had once dismissed humanity began reconsidering their strategies. Some even sent secret envoys, hoping to understand humans before the rest of the galaxy realized their full potential. The lead human officer spoke to Zephyr's council one final time before departing. Your planet is stable. Your systems are secure. Continue monitoring the storm for the next cycles. Beyond that, you are on your own. But now you know humans are not a species to underestimate. The council stared at him. Not a word. The calm, quiet authority of the human tone left them speechless. Rylock finally muttered, "They don't need to threaten us. Their presence is the threat." As the humans prepared to leave Zephyr, they left behind subtle reminders of their technology, their sequences for storm stabilization, and a lingering sense of awe. Alien engineers studied the devices, trying to understand the logic behind them, but none could replicate the efficiency. Humans had left a lesson in precision, strategy, and confidence without aggression, without force. Galactic news networks reported widely, "Who mans the species you thought was weak? The ones who saved Zephyr." Across sectors, ambassadors, diplomats, and military leaders discussed the implications. One analyst remarked, "If this is what they do when helping, imagine what humans could do if provoked." Back on Earth, the fleet prepared to leave Zephyr's orbit. Pilots checked instruments, engineers confirmed system statuses, and every officer carried themselves with the same calm authority they had shown throughout. To humans, this mission had been a duty. To the galaxy, it had been a revelation. Commander Rylock watched them go, feeling a mix of relief and fear. "We called for help and got humans instead," he said softly. "The galaxy will never be the same." And as the human fleet disappeared into the stars, Zephyr's leaders knew one undeniable truth: underestimate humans at your own risk. Their actions had shown the galaxy a simple fact. Humans were not only capable of great power, but they wielded it in a way no one could predict. Somewhere in the galaxy, whispers began. Next time, if humanity comes, will they help or judge us? The galaxy had learned a lesson that would echo for centuries. Humans were unpredictable, unstoppable, and beyond what anyone expected. The humans had finished stabilizing Zephyr's storm, but they did not linger. Their fleet remained in orbit, engines glowing softly against the planet's twin suns, a silent testament to their presence. No celebrations, no speeches, no demands. They had arrived, solved the crisis, and made their point. The galaxy had watched, and the message was clear. Humans were not a species to underestimate. Commander Rylock stared at the departing fleet from the capital's tallest tower. His claws gripped the edge so tightly his knuckles ached. They could have destroyed us if they wanted. He whispered, eyes wide. They didn't. And that makes it worse. We saw their power, but not all of it. They chose mercy. The aliens began to discuss the humans in hushed tones across the galaxy. Scholars wrote frantic reports, diplomats sent coded messages, and war councils re-evaluated centuries-old strategies. Every civilization that had once laughed at Earth now realized a terrifying truth: humans were methodical, fearless, and far more capable than anyone had imagined. On Zephyr, the council convened an emergency meeting. Every diplomat, scientist, and military officer crowded the chamber. "We called for help," one counselor said, voice shaking. "Aren't humans arrived? They didn't need to fight. They didn't even raise their weapons. And yet they saved us, and in doing so reminded us how powerless we really are." Rylock nodded grimly. "They are a force of nature disguised as peacekeepers. Calm, precise, unstoppable if provoked. We underestimated them, as the galaxy has always done, and that could have been our last mistake." Meanwhile, the humans executed their final departure protocols. Ships lined up in perfect formation, engines burning like distant stars. Then with a hum, the fleet leapt into faster than light travel. To any alien observer, the humans had disappeared without warning, leaving Zephyr intact but shaken to its core. The citizens who had watched from the streets whispered among themselves. Children pointed at the sky. Scientists shook their heads. Soldiers muttered under their breath. Humans had arrived from across the galaxy, done what Zephorians themselves could not, and left without fanfare. Every eye that had seen them knew the galaxy had changed forever. In secret corners of the universe, other civilizations began to prepare. Ambassadors who once dismissed humans now studied their movements, strategies, and technology from afar. "We may not meet them again soon," one alien leader said quietly, "but when we do, we must be careful. Underestimate them at your own peril." Back on Zephyr, Rylak took a deep breath and looked at his council. "Remember this," he said. "We called for help, and the wrong species answered. But that wrong species may be the most dangerous force the galaxy has ever seen. Calm, disciplined. Merciful yet deadly if provoked." He paused, then added softly, "They didn't show all of their power. They never needed to. And that is the most terrifying part." Across the galaxy, the whispers began. "Humans arrived, humans saved a planet, humans are nothing to underestimate." It was not a boast. It was a statement of fact. From that moment, every species would remember when humans acted. They acted with precision, courage, and intelligence unmatched in the galaxy. As Earth's fleet vanished into the stars, Zephyr slowly returned to normal. The storm was gone. Cities hummed with life again. Citizens ventured outside, still pointing to the sky, telling stories of the calm, disciplined humans who had arrived without warning and changed the course of their civilization forever. Commander Rylak stood alone on the observation deck, eyes on the fading lights of the human fleet. He whispered to himself, almost reverently, "We called for help and got the wrong species. But perhaps this wrong species is exactly what the galaxy needs to remember." Somewhere deep in space, humans returned home. To them, it had been routine. Another mission, another crisis managed. But to Zephyr and the galaxy beyond, it had been a revelation. Humans were unexpected saviors, a force of calm power, and a species that no one could ever truly predict or underestimate again. And with that, the galaxy learned the most important lesson of all: when humans arrive, whether by accident or design, everything changes forever.